6th grade. Jack was in 7th grade. He's a year ahead of me. And he was in junior high. He was taking Coach Cox's little wrestling class that he had over there. So one night I had a job babysitting at Jim and Kathy Lemon's house. Jack came over that night and he taught me my first move, the switch. And he taught it to me by the numbers, just like he learned it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thanks a lot, Bubba. I couldn't hold myself. Years later, after I graduated from high school and was in the Navy, and I came back, and Jack was living up on McDaniel Hill. And I went up there, and we're sitting in the living room, and you know, being guys, one thing led to another. Before you knew it, we had a wrestling match going on there in the living room. And Jack's wife come in and says, "Hey, you guys knocked it off. You're going to break something." Well, we did. We broke one of Susie's antique lamps. And I'll tell you, that was the end of wrestling in Susie's living room. Thanks a lot, Bubba. When I was in junior high, I played basketball and I played football, but I don't really have many memories of that. I wasn't a star or starter or anything like that. But the one thing I remember is at the end of football season one year, Alex Forster, we call him Fuzzy, everybody knows Fuzzy, he asked me if I could help him put away the football gear. I said, sure. So this is over in the old Augusta High School. I think it was built back in the 20s or something like that. And we go down in the basement, they got this antique furnace down there. So we're sorting out equipment, putting it in boxes and stuff, and all of a sudden there's this huge explosion. Boom! And the whole basement is just filled with black smoke. I mean, you couldn't see nothing. I hit the ground. And I lay there and I don't hear nothing else going on, and I say, "Coach, I'm scared." Over in the distance somewhere, I hear a voice say, "Well, don't feel like the Lone Ranger." Ever since then, Alex Forster, I always called him my Lone Ranger. The other thing that stands out when I was in junior high is they had a dance out by the old schoolhouse out by Nora's house. And I went to the dance that night, and like the wallflower I am, I just was standing up against the wall. Well, Barry's mom, Peggy Smith, come over, took me by the hand and says, "Let's dance." Now, a lot of guys, they remember their first kiss. Me, I remember my first dance. Thanks, Becky. Now, in the summer between my freshman and sophomore years, I was walking through town and I heard somebody yell, hey, you. And I looked over by Schreiber's Insurance, and upstairs there's a window open and there's Doc Smith sticking his head out, you know. Well, I knew Doc, everybody knew Doc, but I didn't even know he knew me, right? And I go, "Who, me?" He goes, "Yeah, you, come here." So I go over there and Doc says, "I hear you mow yards and do odd job like that." I said, "Sure." Yeah, he says, "Well, I wonder if you'd be interested in coming out and doing some yard work and stuff for my wife," he said. Wife, right? So I went out there and mowed the yard a couple of times. Well, Doc had dug a couple of great big ponds out back in his house, 3 ponds, and he had a canoe in them. And that's when I found out what his real motivation or his real purpose of getting me out there, because within a few days, Doc had me in a canoe. We paddled around the little ponds a little bit. It worked out pretty good. So pretty soon we got in a race. We did pretty good. So Doc went out and he bought this mahogany strip canoe. Man, I'm telling you, this thing was beautiful. It was just a beautiful piece of work. With the paddles in it, we had 18-inch paddles. With the paddles in it, it only weighed 52 pounds. And man, that thing could fly down the river. Doc and I, we traveled. We did the Pine River, the Pure Marquette, the Au Sable. We were over in Taos at races. We raced the Thornapple River. We raced down in Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. We actually won a couple of Illinois State Sprint Championships. If anybody saw me with my medals last night, some of those big ones were from that. The rest of them I bought at a pawn shop. Now, Doc was a heck of a guy. I mean, every kid should have a mentor like him, man. I mean, I just can't say enough. I can't say enough good things about Doc. He was great, man, and just those few years I had with him were wonderful. Somebody mentioned they had kind of a lock on the Greater Galesburg Day race, so we won that a few times. And I remember one time we went down to Ohio, and they had a category, the father and son race, right? So that day I raced as Dan Smith. Yeah, we won the race. One of the other things I remember about Doc, you know, we didn't just do, I worked for him for 3 years too. And Doc had this stump out in the field, right? He wanted to get rid of the stump. So we go out there one fall morning, you know, there's frost on the ground and stuff. And Doc has me dig a little hole underneath this stump. He puts 2 pieces of dynamite in there, you know, puts the blasting cap in, the fuse. He lights it. We jump in his old International truck, drive away. There's a little poof. Nothing happens. The stump's still there, right? So we go back. Doc has me dig the hole a little bit bigger. This time he puts 10 sticks of dynamite in there. Puts the blasting cap in there, lights the fuse. We jump in the old International. Doc puts it in forward, spin it. Puts it in reverse, spin it, puts it in forward, spin it. I go, come on, Doc, let's get out of here. Finally, that old International grabbed the hole. Boom, away we went, man. We turned around and looked back, and that stumping at least 50 yards in the air, man. Way up there. That was sweet. Doc, now, Coach Masco, everybody knows Coach Masco. He's a man of many hats. And one of the things that he did is, obviously, he was the gym teacher. Well, I had him in gym for 4 years, and I guarantee you we did not play tiddlywinks. Coach's gym classes, lifting weights, running, working out. He was getting people in shape for football and wrestling and tennis and stuff. That's what his gym class is all about. Another thing, Coach was also the track coach. So my senior year, he recruited me along with Carl Chase, Tom Guthrie, and Todd Blake for the mile relay team. And we used to practice during gym class, but we did pretty good. So we went to the districts and won districts. We went to the regionals, won regionals. We went up to state up at Mount Pleasant. We get up there. Coach says, anybody hungry? Go, well, I just got out of wrestling, so I know I was hungry, right? So where's Coach stop? McDonald's, right? Yeah. So I go in there, I get 2 Big Macs, large order of fries, large chocolate shake. We get over to the track meet, my gut's sticking out in the air. I'm not wanting to run. That day I ran probably the slowest time I did all year. And we ended up coming in 7th place, and we were less than 2 seconds out of winning the state championship. So I think in my career, I think that was the one time that really let down my teammates. And none of them are here, so I guess I could apologize. Another thing that Coach Masco did my freshman year, I asked him to sign my yearbook. And he signed it. He says, Dan, if you keep working hard, maybe you can play ball for me someday. And eventually I did get to play ball for Coach Masco. Now, when I played football, I always think they said I wanted to be a split end, man. That was what I wanted to do. And that didn't work out real good. Well, you know, I wanted to touch the ball and just play and stuff, right? So my senior year, my dream kind of came true with the return of line coach George McGinnis. Now, Coach McGinnis really liked me. And the way that I know that is because during practice, he paid a lot of attention to me. He was always giving me advice. Like he'd say, keep your feet moving, move faster, hit harder. Some days he would even let me play head-on against Ron Curry. And then he would be telling me, Dan, get off your butt. If anybody knows Ron Curry, he's that kind of guy. Now,